Quinn here. We can take things off with questions, so we'll begin with Jeff.
Hey, Quinn. First of all, how are you feeling?
Good. Yeah, I'm good.
Coming off an international break, you know how those long run matches, you had the match this past weekend, but the club has 12, 13 matches before the next international break for the World Cup. As a player now, being able to focus on that before the next focus is nice not to have the cavalcade of disruptions.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting stretch for us. It's always nice when you can get into a rhythm with your club team, and so I think that's exciting, as well as, travel. It definitely takes its toll on players, and so being able to put our singular focus towards setting ourselves up for success towards the end of the season, get points early in the season, I think that's an exciting opportunity for everyone, and it creates a good team chemistry that everyone's in for this large chunk of time.
And then the third part of that for me is your midfield depth could be tested, but you have interesting combinations. Sometimes it can be you, it can be Rose, it can be Olo. What is it that those different combinations kind of bring together that you're looking for with the different teammates?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting that we have a lot of depth this year, especially in the midfield, and we have different players that are bringing different attributes, and so I think that's great that we can look at our opponents, we can look at the different games we have lined up, and we can use a variety of skill sets, and so I think that's a big strength of ours, and that's something that we're seeing so early in this season, which is exciting that everyone's in really great form. And we're going to have injuries, and we're going to have people have to go on the road for international duties, and so I think that's going to be a really great skill set for us moving forward as well.
Thanks, Jeff. And then we have Steven.
Hi, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, this is the first year where the Challenge Cup is kind of being interspersed in between regular season games compared to having it kind of all happening before the season in past years. As a player, is that something you kind of think about, the different aspects of what each game means, or is it really just kind of focusing game to game?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting this year with the new format. I think people enjoyed the fact that last year it was kind of like a preseason lead up, but at the same time, I think it was, people want to win, and they want to be in good form, and so I think it'll be exciting this year, dispersing it through the regular season like they do with some European trophies, and I think it'll be a good trial run for us. I think people are really excited for this new format, being able to spread it throughout the season and have that be a continuous competition throughout the year.
And just to follow up, last week the league announced that the prize pool for the Challenge Cup has been increased again up to, I think it's $1 million now for the winners. As a player, is that something you're thinking about on a regular basis? And just kind of, can you talk a little bit about kind of the evolution of kind of the rewards for playing in the league over your time in it?
I think first and foremost, we're on the pitch to win, and those incentives are obviously secondary to us winning those games. But I think it is really exciting, especially looking at women's soccer as a whole, to see these prize incentives increasing. And I think that's just showing that the value people are putting on the league and on women's sports in general. And so I think that is a really exciting evolution to see that, and the players to, they get to reap the benefits of that as they should. And so I think that's really awesome to see, and everyone's really excited to compete for that money.
Thanks, Steven. If you have a question, please use the raise hand function. Are there any other questions for Quinn? All right, we'll take Sandra. Go ahead.
Hey, Quinn, thanks for the time. I guess maybe just still looking ahead to Challenge Cup coming up, going up against Angel City. They had some news, obviously, with the recent signing of Julie Ertz in terms of like preparing for kind of just a midfield battle. Like, does something like that change any game planning, or is it just sort of sticking to what you know and making sure you just sort of execute that correctly?
Yeah, I think it's us sticking to what we know. We understand kind of the general movements and strategies that their midfield's going to give us and that their team's going to give us. And I think, although potential for personnel changing is going to be a little bit different, but overall I think we're preparing for the same opponent, regardless of who's in their midfield lineup. But yeah, I think we're ready, and we're really excited to kick off the Challenge Cup against Angel City.
Yeah, and then just to follow up, so like with Challenge Cup now running concurrently and not necessarily as a bit of a pre-season-y type of vibe, does that change, sort of the mentality or the level of this competition? Because there have already been 3 weeks for the regular season, and now you're running into a midweek matchup that won't necessarily count towards, a regular season table, but a different competition entirely. Does it sort of feel like with the current matches under your belt that it's just sort of preparing for the competition in a more elevated level perhaps than when it was in a preseason?
Yeah, as I said before, I think that'll be an exciting component of it, that it's not really a preseason trial run per se. People will be able to work on their rosters and see where they're at throughout the season, but I also think it's the added challenge of being able to balance all of the schedules. You see that in the European teams, having to, balance your team's lineup to make sure that you can play 3-game weeks. That's always an interesting challenge for teams, and so I think that'll be an added challenge, but I also think it's exciting to have these games later on in the season and really get teams in form to be able to compete at the highest level for the Challenge Cup, for the end of the Challenge Cup. And so every team wants to win all 3 of the competitions in the NWSL and all 3 of the trophies, and so I think that'll set teams up for the greatest chance of good competition.
Thanks so much, Quinn. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sandra. And it looks like that's going to be it for questions. So thank you so much for your time today, Quinn. And thanks, everyone. We'll have Laura on here shortly.
Thank you.
Thanks.